Yes, welcome. Thank you again for being here, and we do have a couple folks online as well. Welcome to the first meeting of 2025, and appreciate having you all join us today. Unfortunately, Jan wasn't able to join us, so I'll go ahead and help try to facilitate the meeting. Item 2 is the approval of the September 11th meeting. If there's a motion to approve.
So moved.
We'll have a second.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any questions? No. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you so much. Item 3 is an update on the regional mobility and accessibility plan. If you all recall, that's our long-range plan, and we've had presentations to this body several times, but we'll make sure that between now and when it gets adopted, we'll communicate both by email as well as updates at the meeting. So please do help us make sure that we're staying on track, and Jeanette will tell you a little bit more about where we're at and what we hope to accomplish here, hopefully by end of May.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mogimi, members of the Management Committee. As Farhad mentioned, we are busy writing the draft document, and we anticipate a draft here at the end of this month, early next month for our internal review, and then to begin going through the committee review process. Our GIS team is wrapping up our Title VI maps as well as other maps that will be part of that document. To date, we have our finance plan, our public outreach, our performance measure sections, and our project list wrapped up. So we're formatting those and building those all into one complete document for review. We did have a request to add an additional project last week or the week before, and we're incorporating that into the modeling and mapping. But even with the addition of that one project, we are still fiscally constrained at $16.2 billion. As Mr. Mogimi mentioned, we're on track for a May approval from the Regional Council. And we anticipate having an RMAP working group meeting either later this month or early February to review our performance measures and modeling outputs. Our data science team provided a progress update to the PopTech committee on December 4th, which included pre-draft outputs from the land use and activity-based models. That included the 2055 population and employment projection. So we've been working really closely with your teams to make sure that we get those numbers accurately reflected in the document. We shared a draft of the 2055 RMAP population and employment growth on December 16th, and we began scheduling one-on-one meetings with the jurisdiction partners to review those. That way there's enough time given for each jurisdiction to see what's happening in their community and verify for us that those projections really are reflecting the growth patterns that you're seeing. So those meetings started right before Christmas and have continued through this week. We'll be wrapping that up shortly. And there's tentatively another PopTech meeting scheduled for January 22nd, and that will be to finalize that information and solidify that with a vote of that committee. Then the draft results, including our performance measures, are expected to be available at the end of this month. Hopefully we'll be able to bring some of that to TPC starting this month and concluding in February. Our air quality team, in November, we had an interagency consultation meeting with our partners at ADOT, FHWA, and the EPA, and that went really well. We don't anticipate any challenges demonstrating air quality conformity at this time, and that process should move pretty smoothly after the Regional Council approves the RMAP document in May. At this time, that's all I have. If you have any questions, I'm happy to take those at this time.
Thank you, Jeanette. Any questions? Paul?
Thank you, Mr. Mohini. Jeanette, you mentioned that, we are fiscally constrained on this. And I saw that, we have $16 billion in needs, and we've all agreed on about $16.2 million in revenues available. Now, I know some of those revenues aren't identified. They're coming in the future, but we do have revenues that are at hand today that are all part of this. We have the RTA, we have the PAG, HERF money. We also possibly have the RTA next coming in. That's roughly, about $4 billion worth of money over the next 30 years. But we still have, there's a large chunk of money that is not, I think, identified at this time in place, roughly 10 to $12 billion. I just wanted to make a statement for the record that, when it comes to the TIP process and it comes to the future PAG funding that's available, just how critical that is to make the RMAP a reality. And, I just want to say, as we move forward, I mean, how judicious we need to be on TIP amendments coming forward. Oro Valley has a TIP amendment that we'll be bringing forward, but we're a little behind on a project, but that's because we've been value engineering that project back into the budget. We went through the design, it's federalized money. The engineer's estimate came in over. And, my staff came to me and said, well, what do we do? We're over. Direction number one was, well, we're not going 1 penny more than what the budget is. So we have to value engineer down. Now, our TIP amendment will be, we came in under on design. We need that excess from design to go into the construction. But again, we're not going to ask for anything more. And I just wanted to say that, that's the importance, I think, of the TIP amendment process. We can't get away from it. It's a reality of life, but just for us to be incredibly judicious as we step forward to make sure that, the TIP is fiscally constrained, and we have as much regional money left over to take and chip away at that, that 10 to $12 billion that, is yet to be determined.
Go ahead. Tim, can you hear me?
I can hear you now. I just couldn't hear what was before that. Thank you. Quick question. Could you just give a quick description of what project was added to the RMAP?
Mr. Chair, members of the management committee, the town of Sahuarita asked to have a access road included that they're proposing to connect to the Phoenix Zoo project. It will run along behind the school and also serve a future wastewater treatment facility.
Yeah, Tim, it's kind of dual purpose. It's linked to the proposed nature the nature conservation project for the Phoenix Zoo in that area. And the county is proposing a regional wastewater treatment plant that's right in that area as well. So this is an access road for those two projects.
Okay. Thank you for the clarification.
Other questions?
We have about, was it 26 or $28 billion in the reserve project list? How does the reserve project list correlate to the project list? So if a project is in the reserve list, is that project also eligible for federal money, or does that have to be moved from the reserve list into the RMAP?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, Mr. Kiesler, yes, it would have to be moved out of the reserve list into the in-plan project list for it to be eligible for funding.
Okay, thank you.
And if I may expand on that, so the reserve list, because the plan is updated every 4 years, typically the reserve list is kind of a look ahead for the next update. And ideally, if those projects are still have gone through the vetting process, but they were not in the financially constrained plan, next time around, you start with that list and start bringing those into the plan when it's financially constrained.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions on this item? Again, this is just for information. Appreciate everybody's support on this. It's obviously very important for the region to have this plan hopefully adopted by May so we can continue implementing those projects. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, the next item, somewhat related, but not directly related, is an update on our regional transportation revenues. As you all know, we've been having this item as a standing item just to give everybody a snapshot picture of where the revenues are, and James is going to give you that update.
Thank you, Mr. Mogimi, members of the committee. If you'll turn to Table 3 and Figure 1 in your Regional Transportation Revenues Report, through October of FY25, there was more than 57.5 million in HERF and VLT collected across the region. Of that 57.5 million, Table 1 shows PAG collected about 10.7 million of that regional funding. The remainder was distributed directly to our jurisdictional partners. Table 1 also shows us the total amount of STBG apportionment, which is just over $21 million. Regional HERF revenues show a more than 3% decrease year over year. Over the 5-year average, we stood at a 2.3% increase. Table 4 shows HERF 12.6 in detail. Through October, we collected $10.7 million, which is 17% more than the ADOT official forecast and more than 5% stronger than last year. Table 5 shows HERF 2.6 with stronger than expected collections, totaling over 2.3 million through October, which is over 6% stronger than last year. And with Table 6 through October, PAG had over $106 million in an interest-bearing account. Most of these dollars are spoken for. In Table 7, we look at city and town HERF distributions year to date. Table 8 shows the HERF 12.6 and 2.6 we've already seen. Additionally, we have Pima County HERF and Pima County Vehicle License Tax, the portion set aside for transportation use only. And Table 9 has the previous 5 years and lets you see how much HERF your city or town received. Table 10 shows us gallons of gas sold in Pima County through various fiscal years. Keep in mind that the amounts shown are for the same year-to-date period during the previous 4 fiscal years. We normally see about 13%, and through October, we were just under 13% for the fiscal year. And in Table 11, almost $41 million has been collected in TPT through October, trending 2% lower than the adopted budget, while showing a slight increase from the same period last year. Mr. Mogimi, that concludes my update. Thank you.
Thank you, James. Any questions on the revenue report? I do want to remind you that, again, this is an ongoing exercise leading up to the TIP development process, which is going to start again this coming summer. So typically we have our revenues and the projections in place before the actual programming process starts. So between now and then, we anticipate that the revenues are going to continue to perform relatively well in all funding sources. But as you all know, the challenge is not on the revenue side. The challenge is on the cost side and the impact of inflation on the cost. So we're monitoring those issues as well. So hopefully during the TIP development process, we'll have more information for you on that. Any questions from the committee? Any comments? If not, this is going to be a really short meeting, and appreciate you all taking the time to join us today, and look forward to any questions or comments. If you have any, feel free to follow up with myself or staff. If there are no other questions or comments, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you. Happy New Year to you as well. Thank you all. Have a good day.